Welcome back to the world of Wraith. Got with you guys another best decks of the format video. Before we jump into it, be sure to hit that like. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you think is the best deck of the format? Hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. And without further ado, let's jump into it. Number 1, Dash IO. Now, we've seen Dash take down 2 callings back to back, but I don't think that's the only reason why she's the best deck of the format. She also has a great matchup into Oscilio, which is a pretty big predator of the format. I think we've seen her take down Vincent, which have a pretty good amount of disruption on their opponent's turns with things like Call and Face Purgatory. Now, Dio being such a powerful deck in the meta has allowed for other decks to rise up to counter her, like Vector, like Pleiades, these really defensive decks. But I think she still holds the number 1 spot. She's able to set up crazy turns. If she goes first and gets an item or two, we're off to the races. I think Dio should be constantly in your head when thinking about this metagame, whether you're gonna play her, play against her. She's a very strong deck, and I think all the Dio pilots that have been playing her for a while. So I don't think she's really a deck that people will pick up and play. Maybe since she's the best deck, people will. But I think most of the Dash IO players you see are probably gonna have played Dio for a couple months, maybe a year. So they've been playing this hero for a while. Definitely the number 1 spot. Number 2, Oscilio. Now, I think number 2 and number 3 could be interchangeable, and I think they're pretty close. Now, Dio's just a little bit above them, but I think they're pretty close in terms of their position in the meta. I put Oscilio first because he was perceived to be the best deck of the format. A lot of people were playing Amulets of Echo, spells, to counter him, but he still manages to convert pretty well. He hasn't taken down a calling, but I think he's still a very solid hero. Dio being in the meta and running null time zone is very painful to Oscilio, but Dio being in the meta and bringing decks like Guardians into the meta, Oscilio can kind of eat the Guardians alive. All he needs is 1 turn to really do a crazy turn and then finish the game off a little bit after that. I think Oscilio, as much as he's being targeted, still a great deck in the meta. Definitely take the Lightning Wizard into account when deck building, when preparing for tournaments. Number 3, Arakni Marionette. Now, Marionette, just below Oscilio, we haven't really been seeing him convert as well. I think Marionette is the most popular deck. I think like Oscilio, a lot of people are targeting him. Vincent came around the meta. A lot of people put Ripple away in their decks to hit Vincent, but it also hurts or Weaver Spinneret. Arakni Marionette, number 3, I think it's a good spot. I think he'll be very prevalent in the meta, but not the best deck, not right now. A lot of players that play Marionette can definitely high roll. This has a huge high roll potential. Cards like Saber Bloodshed, cards like Codex of Frailty. Marionette has a ton of power cards and a pretty crazy end game. But I put him just below Oscilio, as Oscilio has been performing better. But don't sleep on Marionette. I think Marionette's time to shine could come soon. And he's still in the meta, still one of the most popular decks, so definitely expect to see a lot of Marionettes at your future events, whether it's Armories, ProQuest, or Callings. Number 4, Verdance. Now, Verdance was also on my last list. I think Verdance is really solid this meta. I think Vincent coming up really has allowed for Verdance to shine, holding down Vincent. Being an Earth hero, she has some pretty good access to defensive tools to hold back Dash IO. Even Oscilio, she has Light Up the Leaves to be able to prevent 6 Arcane, which is pretty interesting. If you're a Verdance player, let me know how often that happens, but She has a good amount of disruption that's uninteractable with felling and plow under. I think if you sit down next to a Verdance, you're gonna expect a nice long game, definitely a very back and forth game. Not only is she doing physical damage, she also does arcane damage. So having to bring in AB and lose some equipment into Verdance is also a huge factor. Don't sleep on Verdance. She could even rise up and become the number 3, the number 2 best deck. I think they're all super close. Oscilio, Verdance, and Arakni are all very close, and you could even make an argument that Verdance is the second best deck of the format. You know, it's up to your interpretation, but all 3 of them are super close. Number 5, Vincent. Now, like I said, Vincent is being held back by Verdance, but a ton of players have been playing Vincent. At the last calling, I think it was the 3rd most represented deck. People saw Vincent get second at the calling 2 weeks ago, and everybody just got ready to play Vincent with such a powerful skill ceiling. She could do some crazy plays. I've seen Vincents go 3 wide. You know, sometimes if you're defending against Vincent, it doesn't really matter what you do. She's gonna leak through damage and get her, I wouldn't even call them on hits, but her effects that all you have to do is deal damage, which is pretty interesting since Flesh and Blood is mainly a game about on hits. But now Vincent, if one rune chant lands and she has her ability to make the rune chants unpreventable, she's getting her effects on her cards. Now she is a rune blade that can brick, you know, the infamous rune blade hands. Too many non-attacks, too many attacks. Too many attacks might be okay, as she can just banish one, block out, and set up for the next turn. But sometimes she is prone to rune blade hands. A lot of the times you have to go on the defensive against Vincent, just pitch and block out. And if you do that, and there's a hand where she can't convert, and it just allows you to take back tempo, I think that is what's kind of holding down Vincent along with Verdance. But don't sleep on Vincent. This is definitely a hero that's going to be in the meta game. If Verdance LLs, I can definitely see Vincent rising up. But I think for now, number 5, solid spot for Vincent. Number 6, we have a couple heroes. Now I think the metagame is pretty, as much as I think Dio's the best deck, I think the metagame is pretty wide open in terms of what you can play. If you are comfortable with a hero, I think you have a good chance to win, whether it's your Armory, your ProQuest. I think heroes like Pleiades and Victor are definitely just underneath the top 5, but pretty close. Pleiades being a more fatigue oriented, grindy deck. Victor, very defensive, very value focused. You know, all of his clash cards, especially the ones that make gold, give him so much advantage. The ones that don't make gold, something like Clash of Might, a 4-card block is pretty good, and being able to see what's on top of your deck and your opponent's deck is also extra value. His end game with Visit the Goldman Estate can be pretty crazy, generating so much might. I think Guardians, I think they're back. They're maybe not at the top of the meta, but definitely take Guardians into account, especially Pleiades and Victor. I've seen some Valdas float around in there, but I don't think Valda is top 5 or top 6. I think Pleiades and Victor, you could definitely make an argument, top 6 best decks of the format. Now right there with Pleiades and Victor, I'm looking at KO and Ira. These decks have consistently showed they're a big part of the metagame. They're not the top of the meta, but I think they're both very solid decks. They're both very good numbers decks. They both can use the 2 for 6 on hits like Amnesia to forget that things are called rune chants. They can do Erase Face to stop lightnings, stop shadow, and they both do it a little differently. You know, Ira can do Kadachi for 1 and then the on hit with the 7 attack. KO, it just fits his plan as he wants to have things that are 5 to 6 attack in his deck. Being able to give a might or sometimes 2 or 3 mites onto your on hits can be kind of hard to block out, might even buy you a whole turn. Definitely KO and Ira are something you should think about in this new metagame. Like I said, number 6, it's just below the top 5. I think they're pretty close to the higher 1 through 5 rankings. Not quite there, but still super close. And if you feel comfortable with these heroes, I think you could take down a calling. Simple as that. Thank y'all so much for watching. As always, hit that like. Let me know in the comments down below what you think the best deck is. If you're not subscribed, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank y'all for watching. Peace.